Okay. Now, the test on Thursday, you will have numerous limit problems. I don't remember exactly how many, but there are several. I would have a flashcard that says, well, first I would understand this flashcard, then I would make a flashcard. So the flashcard that I'm envisioning, on one side it just says, you know, how to find a limit. And then on the back, it has step 1. If x is approaching positive or negative infinity, compare terms that add. That should be your first step. You wouldn't want to talk more about that idea to make more sense of it. Anyone having any trouble understanding that statement? If x is approaching positive or negative infinity, you must compare terms that add. So let me catch up with your writing. If you ever run out of flashcards on your deck, just let me know, I'll bring you more. So if x is approaching positive or negative infinity, I compare terms that add. Item 2, factor and divide. So every limit problem I've ever seen on the AP test, if I follow this recipe, I can usually figure it out. Sometimes problems are really tricky that I might get stuck on, but this is a pretty successful recipe. Item 3, check left and right limits. And that's pretty much it. So on this problem, x is not approaching infinity, so I skip comparing terms that add. There's nothing I can do to factor, so I skip that. So all that's left is to just figure it out. This problem is more difficult for me because I have a hard time remembering. I have to remember that the natural log of 1 is exactly 0.
Yeah.
And then I have to remember that the natural log of a little bit more than 1 is going to be just slightly more than 0. So that's not really equal. That's more like approaching. The natural log of a little bit less than 1 is going to get really close to 0 from the negative side. That you just have to memorize. I mean, there's things you can do to reason it out, but it's kind of too much thinking to reason it out. I would just memorize it. Questions, comments, and you want me to restate any of that? Cool? Funny? Oh, you're good. So now I think, okay, if the x value is getting close to 1, well, that means the numerator is getting close to 1. So the top's getting close to 1, but the bottom's getting close to this, and the bottom's getting close to this. Well, 1 divided by a very, very small value that is positive, that value is getting close to positive infinity. This value, being negative, is getting very, very close to negative infinity. And because the left and right limits don't match, that's why the correct answer is the limit is non-existent. Once again, don't memorize the problem. Like, understand the flashcard for finding limits. That makes a huge difference on the test. And then you do have to have this little piece of information memorized. I don't actually recall if you'll need this particular piece on the test, but it's possible. So follow-up questions here. Do we need to restate anything? Cool. Let's check that one off. Hello?
Well, wait, did you say that since... Oh wait, never mind, I get it. Thanks.
You good?
Yeah, okay.
2 points for Ella for asking.
So why does it equal like positive infinity and negative?
See if this helps, Jane. 2 points for asking. Limit, the idea of a limit is we want the x value to come closer and closer to 1. So the top's just going to get close to 1. Are you comfortable with that? Okay, the bottom is going to be something, it's kind of weird. It's like, I want not the ln of 1, I want to get close to 1. So that means something like this. And then this. I want the value of x to get closer and closer to 1. As this happens, the denominator does this kind of a pattern, where that's equal to 10, but then the denominator gets closer to being exactly 0. Then the denominator gets even closer to being exactly 0. Okay, now, please note, these are not the exact values of these. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that's the pattern. So as you plug into this, so the function we're dealing with is this one, x over ln of x. Finding the limit as x approaches 1 simply means, here's your formula for finding the y-coordinate. As the x-coordinate gets increasingly close to 1, what is happening to the y-coordinate? That's all this is saying. And the pattern is, I'm plugging in here a number that's closer and closer to becoming 1. As I do that, these values get closer and closer to being 0. Not exactly as I've written, but the pattern is the same. So the bottom gets closer and closer to becoming 0. Therefore, the entire fraction is just getting larger and larger. Because there are 10.1s in 1, there are 100.01s in 1, there are 1,000.001s in 1. That's where we're trending. Anybody else want to talk more about it? Cool, next one.